really interesting to see with Dave Canales as well.
All right, let's go to backs here. And I think someone had mentioned Hubbard.
Damn, Curtis,
So
you just copied my grades, dude. You just copy and paste my text message, or
hey man, this is one room I'm very confident in. You know that. I love Rico Dowdle.
yeah.
But let's talk about the grades. I guess I'll start and then we can kind of work around. And then you guys see that question up top. So start thinking about that. I think this is a really big group, and I don't think Chuba Hubbard gets enough credit across the league. I think he kind of gets shit on because he's in the Carolina backfield. But we got to remember this guy put up 1,000 yards last year. What was a 4th or 5th round pick out of Oklahoma State, and really took another step this past year in solidifying himself as the number 1 back on this team, and just grinded. I mean, this fan base was out on his ass. There was folks calling for his name, and he just kept grinding, staying after practice, hitting the jugs machine because people said he couldn't catch, me included at points. And he just kept grinding and showed last year. I mean, he made the moniker that Ricky created with Big League Chew, and he was a top 10 back last year, and he did an outstanding job, and not a lot of folks want to talk about him. And I get it. It's Carolina. They haven't had a winning season, but he grinded, he earned it. And then you go out and add another 1,000-yard back because you're concerned about Jonathan Brooks' injury. So you have two 2,000-yard backs that have similar playing styles. And then you go out and add another running back in the draft who, I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the 4th round picks in general, but a guy who gives you a different element, gives you a return ability for this team. I think this is a pretty damn deep room. And oh, by the way, Jonathan Brooks is rehabbing and will be ready to go next year. So now you're looking at, I mean, Dowdle maybe be on the outs and he was maybe a 1-year rental, but you're looking at Chuba Hubbard, Jonathan Brooks, who has an entirely different element to this running back room, plus ETN. I mean, that is stacked to the fucking brim with talent, I personally think. So, yeah, I'm high on this room. I like everything about it. I don't think Chuba Hubbard gets enough credit across the league, and he's one hell of a back, and he proved it this past season.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go. Guys, I don't know how many times I have to say this, but my God, was I wrong about Chuba Hubbard. Um, Ricky, you weren't with us when I was in my era of wanting Chuba Hubbard off my team and not seeing him in the backfield at all. And I'm proud to announce again for the 50th time that I am wrong. He's continued to take steps forward, and last season was proof, that this man has worked and worked and worked at his craft and has earned the right. Even going into last season, drafting a running back in the 2nd round doesn't, in my opinion, show that the front office has instilled a lot of confidence into you at your position. And Chuba Hubbard took that position last season and ran with it, literally, and left no doubt that he is the starting running back for the Carolina Panthers, and he is a game changer. I mean, he's not the most explosive threat, but my God, is he consistent? And, he's getting you 5, 6, 7 yards of carry in, carry out. He's improved catching the ball out of the backfield, hitting that jugs machine. And then you bring in a guy like Rico Dowdle, who we kind of shit on last year, but was a good player, just a Cowboy. So, of course, we're going to talk shit about a Cowboy.
You got to shit on him. He was the ops at that point.
Exactly, right? I mean, rightfully so. He's a Cowboy.
So, it was after that you were shitting on him. Quit trying to butter it
I'm
up.
going to keep on doing it because you loved him. You had a love affair with him while he was in the Bank of America with a star on his head.
I think Curtis wore a Rico Dowdle Cowboys jersey to that game.
My Lord.
Exactly.
Stop.
Exactly.
You guys were haters. I
with
talked
thigh
about
high Cowboy boots.
I might have to get a Hubbard jersey. That's a good point, Michael. I might have to do that this season. I think McMillan is my next jersey, but maybe a Hubbard jersey in the lineup coming soon. But you add Rico Dowdle to that room, another back with proven talent who diced up the Panthers when we played and really made me look stupid when I was talking about him leading up to that week. Yeah. So I think that he's a good change of pace, spell Chuba when he's tired, proven talent in that running back room. And then you add a rookie into there with ETN who has talent as well. Probably more of the home run threat in that backfield, ability to catch the ball in the backfield. I think there's just so much depth in this room that it's hard not to give him an A, man. It really is. Chuba's proven to be consistent, healthy on the field. Rico Dowdle, again, coming off a 1,000-yard season, and then you drafting and adding to that room. And then, Curtis, like you mentioned, you have Jonathan Brooks coming back next year. There's really no weakness in this room. I don't see any. So an A, I'm very comfortable giving.
Yeah, so for me, I almost went about it like what you guys were just talking about. Jonathan Brooks is rehabbing. He'll be here next year. He offers a different skill set. Chuba, Rico, terrific downhill runners, one-cut guys. Really good, but not necessarily home run hitter, explosive, take everything to the house, right? That's why I gave it B+, is because I think that dimension is missing still. Now, Trevor Etienne could fill a little bit of that. I don't foresee Trevor having a gigantic role on the offense in this first season. So really when I look at it, I think, look, swap Rico out with Jonathan Brooks in 2026, right? Like do this hypothetical. At that point, I'm giving it an A, A-, A+, whatever you want to do with that A, because then I think that vision that they had of having this grind you down, run into you instead of around you type of runner in Chuba Hubbard. But then you've got Jonathan Brooks that the minute that you're gassed and you're reaching for your water bottle, you got him coming in there at 6'1", 215 pounds with a little bit of shimmy and a lot of speed to make you try to chase after him. Good hands out of the backfield, good pass protector out of the backfield. Those are all things that I think are still missing a little bit. Now, Trevor Etienne, I'm excited about the possibility with him, but I take all of it a little bit with like a grain of salt when we talk about rookies, especially when they're going to be at least third on the depth chart, because the only way that he sees really significant action, in my opinion, on the offensive side is if there's an injury. And if there is an injury to Chuba or Rico Dowdle, that also takes away a really big dynamic of what gave them this B+ for me. Because having this very similar skill set and very similar approach that fits perfectly with your offensive line, that fits perfectly with the mentality of your play caller, and it fits really well with the rest of the team in the way that they're constructed and how you could take advantage of teams having to load up the box if you got these guys running terrors on them, right? I just think that when you lose one of them, you could be in trouble. So that makes me a little bit more nervous. I do take the injuries into account with running backs a little bit more than some other position groups, because running backs get smacked every single time they touch the damn ball, right? Like there are other guys, man, that can literally just run out of bounds after they catch it if they want to on a certain route. But a running back, man, I mean, you got guys chasing you from the minute you got it, man. It is, they're trying to smash. They're trying to get you down and they are trying to break your helmet. So I just, for me, very excited about it. I think everyone knows I'm a big Chuba Hubbard fan. I do like Rico Dowdle. I think that he's a genuine top 50 running back now. Curtis, you can say that. Top 25 running back. We can say that now. I'm all for bringing that bit back and raising it every single time and giving him his flowers as needed. But I was never going to do that to anybody that had a star on the top of their head. I will call CeeDee Lamb a CFL player if I have to, because I am not going to sit here and
they're trying to backtrack now. It's all right.
Oh, I'm not going to backtrack. What do you mean? No way, dude. Look, for the same reason that I'm going 17-0 for the Carolina Panthers is the same reason that I will never say that a Dallas Cowboy should have a fun time at Bank of America Stadium. There's already plenty of Cowboy fans that are stomping all over with their thigh-high boots in our stadium. I'm not going to sit there and cheer for their players, too. I'm sorry.
And chat, don't you forget Curtis wore a Rico Dowdle Cowboys jersey to that game.
I don't own one.
With a big old 20-gallon hat, too. Yep.
Well, let's go to the question. Ricky, we'll start with you. Bryson went with the last one. Do you think Hubbard and Dowdle are a top 5 running back duo in the NFL right now?
You know, man, I looked at it and I was sitting there and I was like looking at some of the numbers because it's funny, I did like look at some of the things for these players, and Chuba Hubbard had 1,195 rushing yards last season. Rico Dowdle had 1,079. That's 2,274 total. That would have been in the top 5 when you talk about top running back duos. If you're talking about strictly running backs, right? Because like Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, I think would have qualified a bit higher. But like even when you talk about the Lions, right? That's who I thought of immediately when I think of like the top running back duo in the NFL right now.
Same.
Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery. David Montgomery only had about 780 rushing yards last season. He played 14 games. So it's not like he missed a ton of action. Rico, I believe, started 15 games, played 16, but started 15. Chuba, we know, I think, missed one at the end of the season or somewhere in the middle of it. I think he missed one game. Trevor Etienne, a little bit of a wild card, but that's not anything to do with the duo. So, yeah, can Chuba and Rico, at least statistically, right? Can they statistically put up a top 5 running back duo? In theory, I think they can. What I think will be their biggest hurdle would actually be music to a Carolina Panthers fans' ears, will be if the passing game takes the next step. And you don't have to rely on, 1,000 yards for each running back. Now, you could still open it up. Now, you talk about like a juggernaut offense. So if you're talking about them both getting 1,000 yards and Bryce throwing for 35 or 3,800, whatever it may be, it's possible, but it would be a real big swing. And I think it's more likely you see like a kind of David Montgomery type year out of Rico Dowdle, 700, 775 yards, somewhere in that range. And Chuba, I still think he cracks 1,000, man. I think that he's still the workhorse. I think they're going to be a fantastic duo, and I'm very excited about them.
All right, I'm gonna go before Bryson goes here. Yeah, I think statistically they should be slotted in the top 5 based off of last year. So if you're looking at that, I could see it. But yeah, Detroit came to mind for me. I even hate to admit this because I can't stand their fan base right now. Atlanta's got a pretty damn good duo if they know how to use them more, to be honest with you. I think Bijan is pretty damn special.
He's great. Yeah.
Algiers, he's pretty damn good too. Houston.
He's no Rico Dowdle.
If AJ Dillon was healthy, I don't think he played. Or did they acquire him this current year?
Yeah, he was out all last year. The quad father. Yeah, he was out all last year.
But he was in Philly last year, right? Or no?
No, AJ Dillon. Okay. No, I think they just brought him in.
Okay, so that's one to watch. That would be one. But I think statistically, if you look across the board, I don't think they replicate that this year. I agree with you. I don't know if they get both 2,000. Just based off of the, who they brought in. They got T-Mac and everything else. I think you might see that the passing game take a step up, hopefully. So, but yeah, I think statistically, if you're growing off of last year, I think no doubt, they're in that conversation for top 5. And I thought I saw someone post about trade bait. I do. I mean, I kind of agree with you. If they're rolling midseason, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's a reach.
Rico getting traded? If the Panthers are having a good year and you think they would trade him?
I don't know. Maybe.
Why would they trade him if they're having a good year?
If they need a corner.
But they're having a good year, and it's probably based heavily on their run game.
Yeah. Hey, I've seen weirder shit happen. Okay. So
fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, I think overall, just going back to the question, I think no doubt if you go off of last year, they have to be in the conversation. And I don't know if a lot of folks would want to have that conversation because I don't think Chuba Hubbard gets enough credit. But statistically, hell yeah. I mean, you have a 2,000-yard backfield between those two. So absolutely.
Yeah. For me, I think last season, I know at least Curtis and I, we were very kind of upset with Dave Canales and his play calling, like asking for them to continue to run the damn ball.
Ricky too on that.
Ricky too. Run the ball. So I think Chuba could have gone for more than 1,100 yards last season if Dave Canales would have been consistent in saying what he was going to do going into that year. So, to me, for this question, I asked myself, is there anyone else going into this year that had 2 running backs go for 1,000 yards last season? On top of my head, I can't think of anyone. So when you add those 2 together in a backfield, I'm thinking, yeah, they could potentially be a top 5 running back duo in the NFL. I don't think that's very far of a reach to assume. So I think Chuba and Rico can do it. I agree with you guys though. I think it's really heavily dependent on how Bryce Young plays, the play calling, where this offense kind of leans towards. And I believe Dave Canales, whether he says it or not, is more of a pass first kind of play caller. And I think that kind of hampers their ability to put up stats similar to like the Lions and David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. But, maybe that changes this year. And we're looking at one running back over 1,000 yards and another guy closer, 700, 800 yards. But I think they have the ability to do it. Now, there's a lot of circumstances surrounding them that might hamper that. But especially if Bryce Young takes that next step, I think we're not going to be asking them to run the ball very much if Bryce Young is playing like he was the last 10 weeks of last season, because he's going to be slicing and dicing. So they have the ability. Yes. Will it happen for sure? I'm not 100%.
The hope is that they keep running the ball, at least because we have a lead, right?
Exactly. That's
you could still see a very balanced offense here. Like, I think even if Bryce is to take like that big step and be a terrific quarterback next season, still think they're going to run the ball a good amount. Like the offensive line is built for it. Signing Rico Dowdle clearly shows you that they want to. It's also insulating Bryce a bit, right? Don't put so much on his shoulders that he almost feels like he has to take that step. Let him do it organically because he is there, right? So I still think they're going to run the ball. But Bryson, I think you nailed it. I just have a hard time seeing both of them get to 1,000, man.
I do want to